I'm going to show you how to do a very simple, very cute little tiny tennis bracelet that are really easily stackable. Putting different colors together or making a whole bunch of one color, putting them all at the same time, or just putting on one at a time is fine also. Now, I have experimented a little bit with my clasping. On the one I show you in the video, this is the one I make in the video, I use a spring ring clasp, and it's a little bit smaller, you can see, than the lobster claw I used on these others. So in the video, I use 69 base units before I embellish, and on these ones, I use 66, and yet they are all a little over 7 inches long. I'll show you. They're all the same length. I just adjusted according to my I have to go halfway through that circle there. According to my clasping, I just adjusted how many units I made. Of course, the units have to be divisible by 3. You can make it as long or as short as you want, as long as it's divisible by 3, and that will all be explained in the video. But I want to show you what they look like. I made 3 different colors, a sapphire, amethyst, and a ruby color, and I will put them on and show you what they look like. And this is what they look like on the wrist. They lay perfectly. I shake my hand around, they don't twist, they don't turn, they stay the way they're supposed to stay. They look like really nice little tennis bracelets. They look like little gemstone bracelets. And then we have our clasping on the back. See how nicely it goes together. Everything works really well. It's nice and solid design, nice and solid bracelet. So let's go ahead and look and see what we need to make this bracelet today. Okay, for this project today, we will be using 11/0 and 8/0 seed beads. You can use the 15/0 if you'd like. It's just that with the small of a bracelet, the 11/0 kind of gives it a heavier look. So I've decided to use an 11/0. Both my 8/0 and my 11/0 are Toho seed beads. This is the galvanized aluminum silver tone. And then I'm going to be using amethyst colored 4mm Swarovski bicones. So you can use any color you want. You can use several different colors, whatever you'd like. I just think with the bright silver, the purple is going to look pretty. And then I'll probably make a couple more in other colors too. These are really going to be good for stackable bracelets. So consider having several different colors out and enough beads to make a few. And then for our clasping, you can use several different options. I'm going to use this little spring ring clasp. It's a little circle with a spring ring, and then it has its own attachment. So this will be one side of my clasping, and this will be the other side. So this is fairly small. So whatever you use for your clasping, if you use a really small one, you need to have a little bit longer length in your bracelet. If you use a larger one, like a toggle like this, which you can use, or a lobster claw with a closed jump ring like this, this is going to take up a little bit more room. So you want to take that into consideration as you're making your bracelet, what kind of clasping you're going to use and how big it is. Then we're going to be using 8-pound Nanofil. You can also use 6-pound Fireline. You can also use 8-pound Fireline. That's fine, or 10-pound Nanofil. Just stay within those ranges. 8 or 10-pound Nanofil, 6 or 8-pound Fireline will work just fine. I'm going to be using a size 10 beading needle. You can also use a size 12 if you would like. And then what you're going to do is thread on at least a yard of thread onto your needle. I am using a little over a wingspan, which is when you stretch your arms out side to side and measure from fingertip, one arm length across your chest, the other arm length to your other fingertips. So just spread your arms out and measure that much. That's what I'm starting with. And let's go ahead and get started with the project. Okay, to start this project, we will be using our 8/0 seed beads first. And thread onto your needle, like I said, your long length of thread, and then pick up 4 of your 8/0 seed beads. You're going to bring these, hold on to them push your needle through, and bring these all the way down to the end of the thread, leaving about an 8 to 10 inch tail. Make sure you have enough to put your clasping on the end. If you don't want to leave that much, you can always extend it later, but I recommend going ahead and leaving an 8 to 10 inch tail on this one. It's just going to be easier. Now I have my 4 beads between my fingers here, and I'm going to come up from the tail side, and I'm going to go through the first 2 beads, and then I'm just going to hold on to my beads and my tail thread, and I'm just going to pull my thread through. Try not to tangle your tail through it, and you should be able to pull them down to where the second set is sitting on top of the first set of beads. Oops, too close there. Just like so. We should be able to get closer than that. There we go. Now we're going to sew back through these beads. What we're going to be doing is a modified herringbone stitch. We're just going to secure the herringbone a little bit more than you would just your simple stitch. So I've come down through the second, I was coming out of these beads, I've come down through these beads, and then I'm going to come back through the first set of beads just to secure my first 2 stitches here. Like so. And that's what that should look like. Now we are going to begin doing herringbone, and then we're going to secure each stitch that we make. So you're going to pick up 2 8/0 seed beads. In this first stitch, we're just going to go down both these beads on this side. So we're going to go through both of these 2 here, and then we're going to pull our thread through. They should lay out on top of the previous 2. And then you're going to go over to the next side. So you're coming out of this column here, go over to this column, and go up all 3 beads on this side. Pull your beads through, or pull your thread through. And then this is where it differs. We are going to sew through these beads and connect them together to make them stronger. This first 2 set doesn't really matter because we will secure them one more time. But this is what we're going to do. We're coming out of this top bead here. We're going to go over into the bead right next to it. And we're going to pull the needle through and our thread through. And then we're going to cross over and go back up through the bottom of the bead we started in, right here. Pull your thread up, and as you do, it'll come between the beads and it will tighten as you tug on it. Now, just because this is our first few stitches, we are going to do a run-through stitch on all of them to make sure that they're all connected together nicely. So we're going to cross over here. We're going to go through all 3 beads on this side. And then we're going to cross over and go through all 3 beads on this side. And the only reason we're doing that is because that will be our first embellishment area and the end of our bracelet, and we want it to be strong. So now we will begin our next stitch. We're going to pick up 2 8/0 seed beads. We're just going to go down into the bead next to the one we're coming out of. So we're coming out here, we're going to go into this one and just that bead. Pull the 2 beads down. As we pull, they should lay out holes facing out, and then you're going to cross your thread over, come through the bottom of the bead next to the bead you're coming out of, and then up through the new bead on top of it, like so, and pull. Tighten your thread, and then here is our securing stitch. We are coming out of this bead. We're now going to go into this bead here, pull our thread through, and then go through the bottom of the bead next to it, the one we started in, pull our thread up tight, and this will take it out of the herringbone stitch, lay it flat next to the other one, and give it a much more substantial feel. Again, you're going to pick up 2 8/0 seed beads. We're coming out of this bead, we're going to go into the one next to it, right here. And pull our thread through. We're going to cross over, go up through the bottom of the bead that is next to the one we're coming out of. So we're just going to go directly across, go into the bottom bead, and then through the top bead. And then we're going to pull. Give it a little tug, make sure your thread is down in there nice and tight, and then let's secure it. So we're going to go from this bead into the top of the one next to it. We're going to cross our thread over and go through the bottom of the bead we started in here. And pull the thread tight. And this is all there is to this stitch. You're going to do this, it's very repetitive. We'll do a couple more and then we'll go to length and then we'll come back and embellish. So 2 8/0 seed beads. You're coming out of this bead, cross over to this bead. Go through the top of that bead, pull your thread through, cross over. Your thread is here, cross it over to the bead right next to it, go up through the bottom of that bead and the bead on top of it. Go down into the bead next to the one you're coming out of. Pull your thread through. If you put your thumb and your finger together, you can get some good tension as you pull it through. And then give it a little tug and then go up, cross your thread over, go up into the bead that you started in. Pull your thread through. And let's do one more. Pick up 2 8/0 seed beads, cross over, pull these 2 8/0 seed beads down. Lay them out on top of the previous beads. Cross your thread over into the bead next to where you're coming out of, directly across, and then go up through the bottom of it and through the bead on top of it. And then cross over to the bead next to where you're coming out of now. Go through that bead. Cross your thread over, go through the bottom of the bead we started in, right here. And pull your thread tight. This will make you a really nice, consistent stitch, just like this. They'll be laying right next to each other. They'll be nice and strong, but they're still flexible. We are going to go ahead and continue doing this until you have the length that you desire. However many beads you put on here has to be divisible by 3 for our embellishments. So I am going to go to 69 beads, or 69 in my row. There will be more than that. There will be double that. But you're going to count just one row, and that one row needs to be divisible by 3. So let me go to length and I'll come back and show you what I mean. Okay, so I have gone ahead and gone to the length that I require for my wrist, which is a little over 6.5 inches. I will want a little over a 7-inch bracelet, and my clasping is kind of small, so I am going to the length on my wrist that is about a 1/2 inch short. That is 69 units for me. So each 2 beads is 1 unit. So 1, 2, 3. You will count your units until you have 69 or the length that you need. But that length needs to be divisible by 3. So go to the length you need, count your beads, and then divide it by 3. If you do not get an equal number, then either add or subtract the numbers you need so that you have a number of units on your bracelet that is divisible by 3. Otherwise, the embellishments will not come out equal. So, having said that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, I'm coming out of this last bead right here from doing my last stitch and then securing it, I'm going to go ahead and just go down 3 of these beads right here. And then I'm going to come back up 3. And I'm going to put one end of my clasping on first. So what I've done is I've just anchored my clasping through my first 3 units just to make sure that it's going to be secure. Now I'm going to use this spring ring clasp. I'm going to leave the other end on it while I do this just so I don't lose it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads onto my needle, and then I'm going to pick up an 8-0 seed bead, and I'm going to drop it down. Then I am going to go through my clasp, just through the loop on my clasp here. And no matter what type of clasping you're using, if you're using a toggle, you can go up through the loop. You can do it with the lobster claw, same thing. Just put the same beads on, come up through, and then once you're through your clasping, pick up your 8-0 seed bead and just go through the 8-0, not the 11-0s. Let's see if I can do it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going through this 8-0, I'm going to hold it between my thumb and my finger, and I'm just going to pull my thread until my clasping comes down on top of this 8-0 seed bead. And then I'm going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads. And then I'm going to come down into the other side of my herringbone right here. And I'm going to go down through 3. And that is what my clasping looks like. And I'm going to sew back up through it. So I'm going to cross over, come up all of these beads on this side, including the 11-0s and the 8-0 that my clasp is on, if I can get them all at once. See? And I'm coming up through the 8-0. Then I have to go through my clasp because I didn't get it as I came through, so I have to go through it. And then back down through the 8-0, and then I'll go to the 11-0s and the 8-0s on this side. And I'm going to go through 3 8-0s on my bracelet and sew through. Now, I want to secure this, but I'm getting a heavy amount of thread through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up 2 beads here. And then I'm going to cross over into this bottom of this 8-0 here, and I'm going to secure my clasping again. So I'm just going to go up through all these beads and through my clasp, like so, and pull. Then I'm going to go back around into the 8-0 on this side, and then I'm just going to go through the 11-0s and the first 8-0 here. Now you can do this as many times as you want to secure it, and I think that that's probably good. So I am going to go ahead and maybe to be on the safe side, I'm going to go through it one more time. So I will do that off camera, go through it one more time, and then we will come back. Actually, I'm just going to do it. We'll go up through, because as I slide back through, I want to get ready for my first embellishment. I like to have at least 3 layers of thread through my clasping, just to make sure that whoever's wearing it doesn't bring it back to me and say, it broke. So, there we go. Now I'm coming back through all the beads. I'm coming out of this first 8-0 seed bead right here. Let's get you even a little closer. Coming out of that one, I'm going to pick up 2 more. So I'm coming out here, I'm going to go straight down into 2 more beads right here. And I'm going to pull my thread through, like so. And then, back off just slightly, we're going to start our embellishments. We're always going to be embellishing, centering our beads between these 2 rows right here. We will always be embellishing 3 seed beads at once. So we've come down through 3, we've exited. We are now going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, a bicone crystal, and an 11-0 seed bead. You can also use 15-0s if you'd like. Then we are going to come on the same column we're in, up 3 beads, ignore those 11-0s there, and go back down through the same 3 beads, right like this, and pull. Now we're going to cross over and go into the next column and go up the first 3 8-0 seed beads right here. Then we're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, and then we're going to go through just the crystal right here. So don't go through the 11-0 on the other side of it, just go through the crystal. Pull your 11-0 down, and then pick up another 11-0. And then we're going to go back into the 3 beads that we just came out of. So back up towards your clasping and 3 beads, like so. And pull it down. And that is your first embellishment. Now we're going to have to cross over because we're coming out towards a clasp. We need to work back down here. So we're going to cross over and go back into the first 3 beads we worked in on the column on the left hand side here, and then we're going to go through 3 more beads. So there will be 6 8-0 seed beads on your needle as you come through. 1 2 3 4 5 6 right there. Pull your needle through, and now we're coming out of the next set of 3 8-0 seed beads. Make sure that this embellishment is nice and tight, giving it a good tug. You should give it a good tug and arrange it very nicely even before you come through your next set of 8-0 seed beads. Make sure it's nice and secure, and then secure it again. Then pick up an 11-0 seed bead, a bicone crystal, and an 11-0 seed bead. Now you're going to go back up into the 3rd bead. So we're going to count from the one we're in, 1 2 3, and go into that bead right underneath your previous embellishment. Go through all 3 beads, pull your crystal down, give it a nice tug, make sure there's no slack. Then go into the 3 beads in the column next to the one you just secured to. Always, after you put your crystal on, go into your next column. And then this will pull these beads centered in the middle of your herringbone stitch. So now pick up an 11-0 seed bead, go through the bicone crystal, and just the bicone crystal. Place your thumb on top of it, pull your thread through gently, give it a nice tug. Make sure that you have no slack, and then pick up an 11-0 seed bead. And then go back through the 3 8-0 seed beads that you started attaching to on the top side there. So now come through the bottom of them and pull this 11-0 seed bead into place. Watch your thread because it's going to get tangled, and as we get more crystals on here, it's going to get tangled even more. Pull your thread. Make sure your 11-0 seed beads look good. You can even straighten them out a little bit. Get a nice, tight tension on this so that your embellishment looks really pretty, like so. And then we have to cross over, go down through 6 beads again. So we have to make sure that our thread goes between the 2 sets of 11-0s here. So just watch as I do this. I'm going to cross my thread right between these 2 sets right here, and then I'm going to go into 6 8-0 seed beads. I'll go into the 3 I just embellished, and then 3 more. Make sure that you count your beads so that you don't end up wrong. That's what you should have. 1 2 3 4 5 6. And then I'll pull this through and watch my thread. And then I'll give it a really nice tug so that I tighten this up really tight and pretty. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, a bicone crystal, and an 11-0 seed bead, and I'm going to come up 3 beads right underneath the last embellishment, like so, and go through those 3 beads and pull my crystal down. Give it a really nice tug. Make sure there's no slack in that thread whatsoever, and then go into the 3 beads in the column next to the one you just attached to, right there. And pull. Pick up an 11/0 seed bead. Go down through the crystal. Pull your thread through slowly. Give it a nice tug. Make sure that your 11/0s and your crystal are nice and tight. Pick up an 11/0 seed bead. And then go back up through the 3 that you're attaching to on this side, like so. Pull tightly. Cross your thread between. Make sure your embellishment is tight. You have to do that at this point or it'll be really sloppy. Cross your thread between, and then go into the 3 you just embellished, and then the 3 8/0 seed beads underneath that, and exit. And continue putting on your embellishments, giving a nice tug afterwards. Keep everything very secure and very neat so that this looks like these beads, these crystals, are prong set right on top of there. And you can straighten out your 11/0s, push them where you want them. You can do whatever you want. If you'd like to, you can go ahead and use 15/0s, but it doesn't make it look quite as prong set. This more substantial look looks a little bit better, in my opinion. You can try it whatever way you would like to try it. And that is what the embellishment should look like. We're going to continue working the entire length of the bracelet, doing exactly what I just showed you. And once we have gotten to the end, we'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, I've put all of my embellishment on all the way to the very end. I have my last embellishment yet to do. However, I have decided that since I had to extend my Fireline all the way, about 3/4 of the way through, I still have a whole lot of Fireline to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tail I left before I put this last unit on, and I'm going to put a needle on, or I already have put a needle on my tail thread that I told you to reserve in the beginning, which is a good thing because we need to secure these last 3 beads, and then we'll tie this thread off. So we'll sew this tail thread through, make sure everything is secure on this end, and then we'll put our last embellishment and our clasping on. So I'm coming out with my tail thread. I'm coming out of this bead here. So I'm going to cross over, and I'm going to go into the 3 beads here, the column next to the column I'm coming out of, and I'm just going to go down those 3 beads, and I'm going to pull my thread, and then I'm going to go back up these 3 beads on the other side. See if I can get back up there. The needle I put on here is kind of bent. There we go. And now I'm going to just tie a knot on this thread bridge right in the middle, right here. Pull it. Then I'm going to go back down these beads on this side, and I'm just going to go down several. It doesn't matter how many, just go down a bunch of them. And then let's cut our thread off. You can sew through as many as you'd like to make sure that's nice and secure if you'd like. In the beginning of your of the tutorial, I said to leave about 8 inches. You really don't need to leave quite that much, but it's easier to sew through with a lot. So I'm going to melt down my excess here and tuck it between the beads, like so. And then I am going to go back to my working thread, and you can see I have my last 3 beads. So my number of beads worked out just perfect. I didn't skip any or miss any during my embellishments. So I am ready to put my last embellishment on. Now, pick up one 11-0 seed bead. Well, let's see where we're coming out. Okay, I didn't cross over yet. So I'm coming out of these beads right here after putting on my last embellishment. So I need to cross my thread over and then come up into the last 3. Now you may wonder why I made a thread path to where we had to cross over and come up through. Well, the reason is it's kind of the way it flowed, and because as you cross your thread over and pull it between each section, it kind of makes a division in the bottom beads, in your base beads. It makes it more like each one is sitting on its own plate. See how it's falling individually? Kind of like a real tennis bracelet does. Not that this isn't real, but it's kind of like they're in their own little setting. And it also gives movement, and it flows nice, and it'll lay on the wrist nice that way. So sewing through and then crossing over is important. So don't make another thread path that you think is easier or better. You need to be able to divide those sections. Pick up your 11-0 seed bead, your bicone crystal, your 11-0 seed bead. We're coming out of this last column here. We're going to go down 3 beads on the same side we're coming out of, and then come back up 3 beads like so. Pull this down, give a nice tug and secure it, cross over into the next column, go down 3 beads, pick up an 11-0 seed bead, go up into the bicone crystal, pick up an 11-0 seed bead, go down into the 3 beads that you just came out of. Pull your beads down, arrange them, make sure they look good, make sure your embellishment is tight, and then cross your thread over in between the beads, just like I was talking about a minute ago, and then come back up through. And I truly believe this thread path is what sets this basic design apart. It just makes it work really well. Make sure that your embellishment looks good. Nothing's twisted. Straighten everything out. And then let's put our clasping on. So I have my end clasp over here. So I got to take it off of my spring ring because I just left it on so I didn't lose it. Now if you have a jump ring and a lobster claw, all you want to do when you come through your 8-0 seed bead is just sew through your jump ring straight and put it on there. And if you have a toggle, same thing, just sew through the loop. Now, I am going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads and an 8-0 seed bead, and then I'm going to go through the small hole on my loop, or on my other end of my clasping. Then I'm going to go back through the 8-0 seed bead, hold it between my fingers, and pull my clasping down. Like so. Let's get you a little closer. And then I'm going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads, and I'm going to go into the next column of 3 beads right here. Sew through. Then I'm going to go down a couple more beads just to make sure that I don't get a huge division here, because every time you sew through those beads you make kind of a division. So I am going to go down 3 more keeping with the division that I created on the unit before. So I'm really just going down 6 beads. I'm going to cross over and then go back up all 6 beads and my 2 11-ohs and my 8-oh right here. The more you cross your threads over, the more division you make. So that's why I wanted to go down some more. And because we need to sew up through this at least 1 or 2 more times. So I'm going to go through my clasping. And then I'm going to go down into my beads on the other side. Oops, I think it was this side. Oh, I forgot, guys. Well, I guess I'll find out. Then I'm going to go down just 3 this time. I'll sew back up through. Go around it. And now I'm going to come all the way down 6 again. So let's see, where am I? 3, 4, 5, 6. You can go all the way back up and through again if you'd like. I think that feels pretty secure. And now I'm in between these beads here. I came 6 down. I'm going to grab this thread bridge in between the herringbone stitch here. So I've just gone under the bridge of thread here. And then I'm going to go through the, create a loop, go through the loop and pull a knot down on that thread bridge. And then I am going to go down 3 more beads. Always do this in 3s so that it stays with your original division between your embellishments, keeping them in segments. And then I'm going to grab this thread bridge here and do another knot. Pull it down. Oops, of course my thread is not obeying me. There we go. And then I'm going to cross over. I'm going to cross over to this side. So I'm coming out here. I'm going to go directly across and I'm just going to sew down 3 more. I'm going to cross my thread, sew down 3 more. And you can do this as much as you want. Just like I said, do your crossovers 3 beads at a time. And then straighten everything back out because this kind of mangles it. And then cut your thread off. Kind of pull on it to make sure that you didn't get your tension all strange when you were doing that. And then burn that down. Push it in, and back off. Now this is what I was doing. I was just kind of pulling on it just a little bit on either side just to straighten it back out, make sure that all my units are not all bobbled up, messed up. And now I have a bracelet. And let me see how it goes on my wrist. I may have to do this off camera because it's a spring ring and I can't do it alone. And hang on a second. You see my clasping? And there is my little tiny tennis bracelet. Hope you like it. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. See you later.